To me, this is the worst trade that the Warriors ever made. Like, there's no way around it.
Yeah.
Just the sheer accolades Will had before the trade and after the trade is just like, for what you got back, it's an absolute lopsided trade. January 15th, 1965, when this trade happens, it's the San Francisco Warriors at the time, right? Not even Golden State, trading Wilt Chamberlain to the 76ers for the guys you mentioned, Connie Durking, Paul Newman, Lee Schaefer, and Cash. Interesting thing about this trade is the Warriors were the Philadelphia Warriors. Then they moved to San Francisco and then Philadelphia 76ers. And then they trade Wilt to the Philly team where they came from. Kind of interesting, right? So Wilt plays 6 seasons with the Warriors, bro, averaging 41 and a half points a game, 25.1 rebounds over 429 games, which one of them included the infamous 100-point game. Dude, 41 and a half points, 25.1 rebounds is insane. They trade Wilt Still to the 76ers. After this trade, he plays 9 seasons, split between the Lakers and the 76ers, wins 2 championships, 3 MVPs, makes the All-Star 7 times. And over those 9 seasons, pretty much averages a 20-20 points and rebounds with 5 assists. That is insane production right there. And he's arguably one of the greatest players of all time. I don't think anybody would argue with that. At least top five. I don't care what anyone says, top five. The way this guy dominated his era is crazy. What do the Warriors get back? Lee Schaefer. This dude doesn't even play a single game for the Warriors. Paul Newman, 3 seasons for the Warriors, averages 13 and a half points, 3.2 boards. Then he's out the league. Connie Durking, 1 season with the Warriors, averages 8 points, 6.5 boards. And then he's traded to Cincinnati for Bud Olson. So if you're analyzing this, you're not getting a lot of production for one of the greatest players of all time. So to me, this is the worst trade that the Warriors ever made. Like, there's no way around it.
Yeah.
Just the sheer accolades Will had before the trade and after the trade is just like, for what you got back, it's an absolute lopsided trade.
And they were still good. Like it says that they won the Western Division crown with Wilt and they lost in the finals. So that's what makes it even funnier. It's like, hey man, we're doing really good. Let's blow it up. That's like the classic example of like what the Hawks did with Dominique. Like, oh shit, we're really good, man. Let's blow it up. We gotta change things up.
It's interesting how often that happens in these worst trades. It's like, hey, we're doing good. We got a good thing going on here. How can we make a mistake right now?
The one thing that I realized like in these old trades is that it had a lot to do with money. Like the old stuff, like before like the 80s, it was a lot of like, oh man, we're in debt. Like let's figure this out.
A crazy example of that is the Nets trading Julius Irving to the 76ers for cash that they had to pay the Knicks when the Nets moved to New Jersey. They had to pay the Knicks money for this territorial invasion. It sounds like some
Yeah.
super made up thing, bro. Super made up. The Nets are moving from the ABA into the NBA. They were kind of strapped for cash. Now they got the Knicks on their back trying to get them for some money. I think it was like 5 mil back in the 70s.
Yeah.
And the Nets basically just sold off Julius Irving for that money to pay the Knicks. And I don't think that something like that would ever happen in today's NBA. But in the 70s, 100%, man. So yeah, I guess I don't know, man. Some weird stuff surrounding money back in the days.
Yeah, it seemed like even for this one, like they got these three players plus $150,000.
Oh, that's what it was?
Yeah, it says $150,000.
Damn, I just saw cash. I didn't know how much it was, but I mean, it's all relative. This is 1965, so I don't know what $150,000 would equate to today, but definitely not worth Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah, man, especially once you know, like, and it wasn't like they didn't know what he was. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because he was beasting
Like,
on him.
yeah, so it's like, bro, like, why? I
Yeah.
don't know. But it kind of ended up turning out okay for them a little bit, right?
What do you mean?
Because like then the next year, like didn't they draft Rick Barry?
Oh, they did?
Yeah, it says in 1965 they drafted Rick Barry in the first round.
I don't know about that, man. I mean, if you can have Rick Barry and Wilt still,
How do you get Rick Barry if you don't suck?
I mean, this trade happened in January. So, like, what did they take Rick Barry at first?
He got drafted number 2 overall, round one, second overall pick.
Well, yeah, I guess you're right then. It kind of worked out, but I don't know, man.
Yeah, because
You
he,
still,
he won a championship with them.
yeah, but I don't know. You're still giving away Wilt Chamberlain for a bag of peanuts. So it's
Yeah,
still the
yeah.
worst
So
trade in my
Will,
opinion.
yeah, you're definitely right. Because then Wilt won more than one.
Yeah, he won two after he got traded.
Yeah, so you get two instead of one, maybe even more. Yeah, it's still a bad trade. Like even with Rick Barry, like it's still a bad trade.